Hey fam, my name is Maria Lloyd. I'm the author of a book titled Words Are Wealth, and I'm the owner of a marketing firm named Opens Clicks Cash. Today, I want to talk to you about email marketing and more specifically, how you can avoid the spam and promotions folders. Now, before I jump into the 6 ways that you can avoid spam and promotions, I have to let you know that these are merely suggestions, right? These are suggestions based on my experience. I've been in this industry as a copywriter since 2004. And I've been specifically working in email marketing since 2012. So this is based on my years of experience. This is based on my involvement in various communities, for people like me. But I have to let you know that these tips that I'm going to share with you are not guaranteed. And here's why. If the free inbox tools such as Gmail, Yahoo, and Outlook, if they actually told us how to avoid spam and promotions, guess what? The scammers would know how to avoid spam and promotions as well. And so you don't want the integrity of email marketing to be ruined because phishing scams are in abundance because they've given us the secret sauce. We now know how to get directly into that contact's primary inbox. So just understand, again, these are merely suggestions based off of my own observation, my own experience, my involvement in the community for folks like me. But nevertheless, take heed. I'm going to jump right into it. So the first way that you can make a strong attempt to avoid the spam and promotions folder is by getting explicit consent from your leads, right? Explicit consent means that I have an opt-in form, and when you opt into that form, you are aware that you will be receiving some promotional communications from me. So, for example, I do a lot of speaking engagements. When I have my slides, I allow the members of the audience to scan a QR code on my slide presentation. So that way they can fill out a form, and in exchange for their information, they get the slides. But before they even submit their information, they do have to check a box that says that I'm aware I may receive some promotional communications from this person, and I'm okay with that. So that is explicit consent. It is very important that you get explicit consent, or else you may be violating the CAN spam laws. So that's the first way that you can try to avoid spam and promotions. The next way that you can avoid spam and promotions is that once the contact lands on your email list, or once they opt in to be a part of your community, you want to show them how they can whitelist your email address. Now, again, this is not guaranteed. Sometimes even with whitelisting, the emails will somehow float into promotions or spam, but it's still a really good thing, a really good practice for you to try to get your contacts to go ahead and whitelist your email address. And if you're not familiar with whitelisting, what it is essentially the user of that particular inbox tool is telling the inbox tool, Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook, whatever the tool they're using, hey, I want to receive emails from this particular person, right? And so they're whitelisting your email address to basically let the inbox tool know, I want to receive these communications. I trust this individual. Please put these emails in my inbox. So that's another way that you can make sure that your emails land in the inbox. The next way is to ensure that you are giving a very clear and direct call to action. So if you have these and if you're not familiar with what a call to action is exactly how it sounds. You are telling the person reading the email something to do, right? You're asking them to do something. Click here to follow me on social media. Click here to watch my YouTube video. Click here to buy my product or my service, right? Those are all examples of a call to action. And the thing is, if you have a whole bunch going on in your email, one call to action at the top is telling them to click here to follow you on social. Another one is kind of buried somewhere in the copy, and it's not really clear what you want them to do. If there's any ambiguity surrounding the call to action, that's not a good sign. And so your emails can more than likely float into spam or promotion. So you want to make sure that your call to action is very concise and it's very clear. It's not buried somewhere in the copy to where the person is accidentally clicking on one thing, thinking they're going to get something else. And in fact, you are misleading them. You do not want that to happen at all. So make sure that your call to action is very direct. And most importantly, just make sure that it's consistent throughout your communications. You don't want to give people multiple calls to action. Just focus on one or two things, please, or you won't get anything out of your contacts. The next way that you can try to avoid spam or promotions is to avoid messaging that sounds too good to be true, right? So an example of too good to be true messaging would be something like, hey, lose 50 pounds in 2 days when you try this method. You know, there are people that have lost a ton of weight in a very short period of time, but it is broadly known and understood that rapid weight loss is actually not very healthy and it's not really realistic, right? And so if your copy is trying to promote something that is, fundamentally goes against what we generally as a society have accepted as true, there's a high risk that your information or your emails will land in spam or promotion. So you want to make sure that when you are writing your copy, when you're presenting your offer, whatever that offer may be, make sure it's realistic. Make sure it doesn't sound spammy and crazy, like something that goes completely against the, widely adopted understanding of a particular issue. So very, very important there. The next one, make sure your email doesn't have a whole bunch of large images. Listen, there's nothing more frustrating than opening an email and having to sit there and wait for this humongous image in the email to load. So make sure you keep, if you have to have images, and I know that this is very common, especially for apparel brands, for example, you want people to be able to see the clothing in the email, right? This is very common just amongst many e-commerce brands. You all want people to see your product when they open the email. That's fine. But again, I strongly encourage you to make sure that you keep those pictures at a very small size. So that way, when the contacts are opening your emails, they're not having to sit there and wait for this humongous image to finish loading. It's not a good user experience. And furthermore, it does definitely increase your odds of landing into the spam or promotions folder. And last but not least, and this one is a little bit more tech heavy. So I want to make sure that I read my notes so that I say the correct thing. Okay. So while this is a strong suggestion, it's not necessarily mandatory, at least not at the recording of this video. There are some changes that are coming down the pipeline as it relates to how emails are going to be authenticated moving forward. Again, you all, the reason why these, policies and these technological changes are important is because we want to protect the integrity of email marketing. If we don't want email marketing to become that channel that is flooded with so many scams that people don't trust it, they're not checking their email, they're not clicking on links because it's too scammy and there are too many phishing attacks occurring, okay? So we don't want that to happen with email marketing, especially as business owners. We have to maintain the integrity. We all have a responsibility to maintain the integrity of email marketing. Even if you're running a highly successful business, it is to your advantage to ensure that you are ethically sending your emails and not ruining the reputation of email marketing. So with that being said, this is the sixth and final tip on how you can try to avoid the spam and promotions folder. And that is by making sure that you configure your return path and authentication settings, okay? So again, I did share that this one is a little bit more technical. It may sound a bit challenging, but honestly, the way that you can do the things that I'm about to suggest, it's all embedded in the DNS settings of your domain name, right? So assuming that you're sending emails from a professional email address, not from, the name of your business at gmail.com, but an actual professional email address, which is info@thenameofyourbusiness.com.net, so on and so forth. This is something that you definitely want to do. So what you will want to do is set up your SPF records, DKIM, and DMARC, DMARC. Okay. Again, this is a little advanced, but it's not difficult. You can simply just Google search what those steps are. It is very easy to complete. And with that being said, those are my 6 tips for avoiding spam and promotions. Now, I'm going to ask you, is there anything in the video that you agreed with? Is there something that you learned? If so, please drop that in the comments below. I will engage with your comment. I'm very curious to know what methods are you using to avoid spam and promotions. And most importantly, if you haven't already, make sure you hit like and subscribe, okay? My channel is dedicated to all things that will help small business owners get to that first 6-figure mark in their business. So please make sure that you like and subscribe. And I do occasionally share a couple of personal stories because I am an international traveler and I live abroad part-time. So there are some other things that I share on this channel as well. But I do want to encourage you to make sure you like and subscribe. And of course, make sure you pick up your copy of Words Are Wealth for more information on how you can turn your words into wealth with some effective copywriting for email marketing. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to reading your comments.